Well, hello and welcome to Community Forum. My name is Roy Cohen. I'll be hosting this particular edition, and we think you'll find this one to be pretty interesting. It has to do with early education and awareness to help fight substance abuse. And we have a gentleman from the Evan Foundation, which was organized in 2014 after the founders, John and Stephanie Green, lost their son, Evan, to an opiate overdose. Like so many others, Evan's journey began with one pill offered by a peer. That one pill led to a horrible addiction that ultimately ended his life. John and Stephanie bravely shared Evan's story as part of a comprehensive program that includes an educational component presented by a Massachusetts state trooper and drug recognition expert, and an awareness component presented by a recovering addict. No first-time 45-minute presentation and a 15-minute question and answer period are designed to educate young people on the danger of experimenting with drugs and engaging in risky behavior. And at this time, I'd like to welcome John Green. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you.
And way over there to my left is Deputy Chief. It's a tough thing. I have to practice. Deputy Chief Brian Holmes. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Roy.
How about some information on the organization? Its beginning, John.
Yep.
Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, so we started the Evan Foundation, like I said, in 2014 after losing my son. And so far, our stats were we spoke to over 6,000 kids and over 1,000 parents in the community. And we still need to do more. It's we want to get out there. We should be doing 3 schools a week. We booked probably 15 to 17 schools so far this year, and we want to do more and reach these kids. And I believe it should be at 5th grade level, because now junior high starting at 6th grade, the peer pressure is just too much. You know, they're smoking cigarettes at a younger age, they're trying that high potent weed, and then with that, which is a gateway, I believe, going into these pills. And now pills are easier to get than alcohol. You know, they're right in your medicine cabinets, and that's what's happening.
So the parents have to keep their pills locked up.
Correct. And Brian will tell you also, there's drop-off centers that you can do with dropping your pills off.
The ones that are no longer used.
Correct. And you don't want to flush them down the toilet. You don't want to do anything like that. You want to drop them off at either a drop center like Stoughton has, to get your pills, get rid of the pills.
How did Evan get into the problem of the drugs?
Yeah, he was a very active kid. You know, couldn't sit still. He loved skateboarding, loved playing basketball. He loved snowboarding, loved all those sports, ride motorcycles, quads, and everything. And it seemed, he started also at a younger age, hanging out with older kids, probably 12 or 13, smoking weed. Again, me thinking it's just a phase as a young teenage kid. He's going to get over it. And then that time at 15 years old, driving with his friends in the back seat, a kid handed him a perk. Hey, you ever try this? And made him sick, but he ended up, the feeling, he kind of liked the feeling. It kind of masked some of his underlying problems. And right from there, at the age of 17, his girlfriend at the time shooting him up with heroin. And then at 19, overdosing and dying.
Did you know that he was getting involved with marijuana or whatever at the younger age?
Again, as came from I had him in a nice community area of Easton, and figured from the city where my wife grew up, moving him to Stoughton. I grew up in Stoughton, and then moving him to Easton, thinking it's a great town, and which it was. It's not the town's problem. And again, this isn't just a town problem or a state problem. This is everyone's problem. Then that's what people got to understand. This is everyone's problem. We're losing family members. You got the grandparents raising their grandchildren now because of the kids that are overdosing. Just in Canton, we had 3 overdoses last week. I mean, it's everywhere. It's every little town. So we need to get community going with it and really talking about it. Very important.
Brian, how can the parents tell? Can the parents tell that their kids are starting to slip into that part of the world?
Right. As a parent, I think some of the red flags right away is a marked change in their behavior and a marked change in their academic performance. Those are the red flags right there. When you start seeing the social group change and you start seeing, sleeping patterns change and you see the academic performance dip, those are the immediate red flag indicators right there.
What about smell? I mean, if you're a loving parent and you occasionally might hug the kid, or you don't even have to do that, there's got to be a telltale odor of marijuana that's got to be coming off of the product, off of the child.
Yeah, marijuana, it's a very distinguished and recognizable smell. It's a combination, I would say, of a skunky odor or an oregano type odor, and it's very distinctive. It's so available, it's so strong compared to how it used to be. But I mean, we can help parents be aware of what it smells like by some of the public outreach that we do. Mm-hmm. If they've never smelled it, if they've never been around it, it's something that you would never forget the first time you have a whiff of what it smells like. Right.
I remember as a kid, way back when, I was bad. I was smoking cigarettes. And I used to think that if you chewed gum or something like that after you had your cigarette, that your parents wouldn't be able to tell that you were doing it because the smell would be gone from chewing gum. I didn't realize that the smell is all over you. And I got caught. And it wasn't pleasant. And it was only for cigarettes at that particular time. I think I was 14 or 15 years old.
Right.
But
what you're seeing too is the kids that are getting into the marijuana, the age is getting lower and lower. I think what you're going to see is you'll see the Axe body spray or different body sprays that they're using to mask the odor of it, because the colognes and the stuff, it's strong smell.
Can parents talk to their kids and get results?
They have to. I mean, it's been said by many people before me and throughout since the beginning of this opiate crisis that we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem. So I'm repeating a message that's been out there for a while. These conversations have to happen. They have to happen at the dinner table. They have to happen on the car ride to school. It starts at the home front. I have a 16-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son, and I'm talking to both of them about it right now.
You're coming from a different level, and you're an expert in that field or that problem. But the average parent, how do they go about chatting with their children or warning their children, or how do you do it? I mean, that's where it starts.
You have to know your child. You have to know how they're going to respond to what it is you're bringing up to them, and find the right way to bring it up. The conversation with my daughter is different than the conversation with my son, but it has to happen. And if parents are a little bit reticent about having that conversation, then we have resources in this town that would be very helpful about starting the conversation. We have the Youth Commission, and our organization, the police department, has 2 members of the department that are part of the OASIS Organization Against Substance Abuse in Stoughton. So there are resources and people out there that can help you to start that conversation with your child, because it's critical. It has to happen.
We had, a couple of months ago, we had Bob Stoughton on, who was a former head of the Drug Enforcement Agency in the Northeast region, and Sheriff Bellotti also. And they're talking about the opioid crisis and what they're doing to save people. What do we have, if you're called to come and assist in an overdose situation, how do you handle it?
Our people in the department are trained under the state law, have to be first responders. It's 40 hours of initial training. We do in-service every year. We do an additional 8 hours. So as an instructor in that area, myself and the chief, and we now have a sergeant that trains with us, Sergeant Owens, we have to train our people to recognize the symptoms of an opiate overdose, and then we treat it with Narcan. Every officer on the department has been issued a 4 milliliter vial of Narcan that's small enough to fit in your uniform pocket. So we have it there. We have it in our automated external defibrillator kits. But it's very important that treatment happens early, because the effect of an opiate overdose is your respirations diminish. When you stop breathing, you're eventually going to enter cardiac arrest and you're going to die. So we have our people trained in how to respond to that. By treating with Narcan and delivering rescue breathing, and then performing CPR if need be. We're equipped. Most police departments in the area are equipped, and everybody's trained about recognizing the symptoms of an opiate overdose. Fortunately, a lot of people are more forthcoming now with the information about somebody that they might be with. Like a friend is overdosing, they'll hang around and they'll make sure that the police, when we show up, are aware that it's an opiate overdose.
How much time do you have to react?
When we show up on scene, we give it immediately. We give the Narcan immediately once we recognize that it's an opiate overdose.
But if a person is overdosing, how much time do you have between you notice it and the time they get the treatment?
That's the tough part. I mean, it all depends on their tolerance to the opiate. It all depends on how much is in their system, and it all depends on how much Narcan we give. We've given as much as 8 milligrams of Narcan before the arrival of Stoughton Fire Department.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no one answer for that, unfortunately.
A silly question, maybe it's not a silly question, but people think that they beat it when they're brought back to life again. Do they again take part in the drug scene and overdose again? Do you have that situation?
Yes, we've had people that we've treated, they went to the hospital, they got discharged, and within that same 24 hours, we're treating them again.
Okay, what happens to them if they're repeaters? Do you prosecute?
Yeah, like I said, we're not going to arrest our way out of the problem, but in a situation like that, I would want to see that person committed for treatment, because obviously they're struggling with something very large and they can't get on top of it. So, that person needs immediate treatment. They would detox and then they would get treatment.
I wish I could remember the name of the medicine that is available, very expensive, because we talked about it when I had those two on the show. There's a injection, I guess, that you can get that blocks your desire for drugs for maybe 30 days or something like that.
Vivitrol shot.
What is it?
It's called the Vivitrol shot.
That's exactly it. I think it's even made here in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Naloxone. Yeah, it's like Naloxone, and they also have implants now. You can get implanted for a month, 3 months, up to close to 6 months.
Do you get involved with? Does the police department get involved with suggesting that they get an injection?
No, I mean, once they're in the hospital, we're kind of out of the picture.
Right.
Our role is pre-hospital treatment, working along with the Stoughton Fire Department. And once they've been sectioned either through a court or by one of us, it's out of our hands. We just have to give the information to the hospital, and it's really on them to act on it.
I notice you have a graph.
I do.
Can we show the graph, Gina? Yeah, and can you talk about that?
So this is a history of the overdoses that we've been tracking since 2010 up to the point on the graph of 2016 to show the total number of overdoses. So we'll talk about the most recent year, 2016. There was 63 overdoses that the police responded to. The total number of fatalities, so deaths involved in those overdoses, is down the bottom in the blue, and there were 12 fatalities in Stoughton. And the police use of Narcan, the Naloxone, the 4 milligrams and the 2 milligrams that we used it 24 times, and that doesn't even mean 24 milliliters or 48. That means we used it 24 times, and it could have been upwards of 8 milligrams or milliliters that were given to these patients. The 2017 numbers are a little bit better. There were 29 overdoses from the beginning of the year until this point in time, and we used Narcan on 22 occasions during that time. We've had 12 fatalities, and the year is fortunately almost over.
Wow, that's 12 too many.
It is.
John, you're out making presentations before thousands of kids. Mm-hmm. At the 5th grade level?
That's where I want to be. I want to be at the 5th grade level. A lot of people, oh, not my kid, he's not ready for that conversation. And we are. I mean, we're losing people. This is a death situation. This is, it's getting crazy. It's, where do we start? Where do we start this conversation?
What kind of reaction are you getting after you make a presentation? Is there any way of logging it?
That's what we actually worked on a little graph to give the schools after, so we can get some type of feedback. And we just started that implementation recently, so we're hoping to get some information from that. Correct.
No results so far.
No results so far. We do get a lot of feedback with the kids and the questions that they want to know the answers. You know what I mean? We tell them just don't do drugs. I mean, like anything, they're not going to listen to that. We want to kind of get some type of answer. So they answer unbelievable questions. I mean, they want to know, like why when you say no, why? Like a hot stove, don't touch that stove. It's the same thing. And this stuff is, they need to know it's going to kill them. it's going to destroy their life, destroy their family's life, take everything from it, and then take your life. And that's the bottom line. And when you're on that stuff, it's hard to come back from.
It's kind of a tough life.
It's a tough life.
love,
It's a hard thing.
tough love situation.
It's a brain disease. This ain't just like, hey, stop, like I thought it was. Hey, Ev, stop doing that. It's beyond that. It controls the brain.
So what's the answer?
Education early. Let these kids know education early. We need to save the next generation. I mean, we're losing a generation right now.
I agree. It has to be about education, engagement, prevention, anything we can do, whether it's through what John does. By the way, I have to say that what John does is remarkable. For him to be able to do what he's doing is remarkable.
Yeah.
If it saves one kid, it's worth it. But the experience is insurmountable. Where you have a guy like John that's going in front of high school kids and sharing an experience that will hopefully make an impact on them. John's correct. It's a disease of the brain. The opiates go to your endorphin receptors. The endorphins are the natural painkillers of the body. So if you engage in, cardiovascular activity, you go for a run. Afterwards, you get that rush where your body is preventing the pain from the inflammation and the abuse you just did to yourself at the gym or whatever. Once you start with opiates, the biochemistry of your brain is rewired, and the opiates have replaced the job, if you will, of the endorphins. So your brain now starts looking for those opiates instead of the endorphins, and that's how the addiction happens.
How does that treatment work that you're carrying around? How does it work?
It goes directly to the opiate receptor,
Through
and
the nose?
basically it replaces the opiate that's on there. It's a nasal mist that gets sprayed into the nose. Inside the nose there's capillaries, and they're a direct route to the bloodstream. And these go directly to the brain, and they, what the Naloxone or the Narcan does is it goes to the opiate receptors, and it basically kicks the opiate off of there and replaces it with the Narcan. And then immediately, once it takes effect, your patient will start breathing again, hopefully. They'll start perfusing blood correctly, and their heart will be hopefully within normal ranges.
Do other towns do the same thing?
Yes, just about every police department in Norfolk County has it. There are some that held out, but it's an impact on the training. It's an impact on the budget. It does cost money. This little box here, this little kit, is $20 per dose through the State Office of Pharmacology under the Department of Public Health. So they've made it cheap. But at one point in time, the 2 milliliter dose that we were buying through a private vendor went up. It went from $26 for one dose to $68 at one point in time. So there's an exploitation factor going on there where the manufacturers that are making the poison are also making the antidote. And they were, in my opinion, at that point in time when Narcan kind of exploded, they were cashing in on it. And it's come down some. But fortunately, the governor supported a very large purchase so that it could be more affordable for the first responders.
Mm-hmm. And most of the work you're doing, John, is in the eastern Massachusetts area?
Yeah, our program actually, we started out of Easton where we live, but we're all over the state. We actually did schools in New Hampshire also.
Do you have other organizations like yours that are in operation?
There are many organizations that are still doing it also, and again, like we go to like a lot of community action stuff, and we speak there also. But I just know, as a parent, where I wish I could have learned quicker to see my son what he was going through. Mm-hmm. So I know early education is where it's at, and everyone says it: education, education. We need to educate, and that's what we want to do. And again, in Massachusetts, I think, Brian, I hear it's up to like 6 or 7 overdose deaths a day. I mean, the state trooper John Franny, he's on a homicide every day.
Yeah. I see here you have, in 2016, 38 people per week died of opioid abuse in Massachusetts. And the annual total last year was almost 2,000 people.
Correct.
And you guys are out there attacking the epidemic and talking about your novel concept of no first time. In other words, if somebody's offering you the pills, turn them down.
That's right.
Can a kid easily do that?
That's what I need to make it cool. Like, how's it cool to say no? That's the whole thing. How do we, with that unspoken peer pressure, it's hard, like taking that cigarette, just knowing who your friends are, respecting your life, because when you take that drug, you will not go to college, like my son. Got kicked out of school at 11th grade,
Mm.
and now it took his life. I mean, it took everything from him. His sister now has to suffer, you know what I mean? She's now his age, 17, you know, and she's in school, she's doing the right thing, but she's in pain every day. So the problems just ain't from him. He's gone, right? But now we have to suffer as
Right.
family and members and friends and all that, you know?
Is
It's
there,
happened too much.
is there a tip line that somebody could call anonymously and say that John Smith, fictitious name, is dealing drugs?
We have that. We have a tip line, we have a tip email. They're both accessible on our website. Every tip is followed up on, even if it's an anonymous tip. But you know, folks have to understand that a drug bust on the side of the street is a lot different than a drug investigation. The analogy's been used many times before that a drug investigation is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it takes a lot of information to be able to prosecute somebody. And then when you prosecute them, the district attorney has to weigh in through the assistant district attorneys the prosecutorial longevity of this case. Like, is it a good case? Is it a strong case? We can't act without the information. You know, other police departments, including, we've used it in the past that if you see something, say something. We can't act if we don't have the information. So any tip that comes in, we're going to follow up on. But people just have to understand that it's going to take a little bit for us to be able to get somewhere with something. We had a neighborhood watch group that was set up probably about 2014, and they were very, very adamant that they wanted a particular house investigated, and they wanted this shut down. It was mainly a pill distribution spot. So the neighborhood got involved. They had meetings with the police chief, myself, other members of the detective unit, and there was not one bust, but two. There was one that basically sent a message to this individual, and then it slowly started to come back, and I think within a year they hit the same house again, and he's been out of business. But you know, availability of this stuff is a huge thing that we're combating, and it takes a lot of man hours, a lot of resources, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just stating the reality of
You
it.
got to do what you got to do.
Yes.
Speaking of doing what you got to do, can we take a short break and show some of the sponsors that we have that help us with this program?
Hi, it's Gary LaPierre, and the crew wants to thank Maxie's Delicatessen. That's at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. They're 781-341-1662. American Cancer Society. Yes, they're looking for volunteers. Drive cancer patients to and from their treatments. 1-800-ACS-6662. Or just go to www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mark's Food Pantry in St. Anthony's Free Market, 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher. That's at 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. Meals on Wheels. Just ask for Jessica. You'll find her at 781-344-8882, extension 2. Stoughton Penny Saver. Our business is advertising your business, they tell us. 27 Rose Glen Street, Stoughton, 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes in Stoughton. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m., It's on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 28. All comments and suggestions welcome. Contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, they're at 41 West Street on the 4th floor in Boston, 02111. Their phone number is 617-536-2460. 24-hour helplines for Samaritans, and the number is 877-870-HOPE. That's 877-870-4673. Samaritans, you can find them at 800-252-TEEN. That's 252-8336. Or find them online at SamaritansHope.org.
We have the Hometown Business Show we'd like to tell you about. It's on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock, Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m., Thursdays at 8 p.m., and Sundays at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon 28. This is a show where we feature businesses in town that we want to tell you all about. Another new show on Smack is We Are United for a Healthy Stoughton. Mondays at 5 p.m., Tuesdays at 9 a.m., Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m., Fridays at 11 a.m., both on Comcast 9 and Verizon 28. We hope you'll watch it. Monday Night Bingo at the Ahava Torah Congregation, 1179 Central Street. Big prizes, big prizes at this particular point. If you're a lucky one to fill your card within a certain number of numbers, there's a prize of $1,199, and there's another one of $3,000 waiting to go into your house if you're the winner. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. Games start at 6:30 p.m. and I'll be there Monday night, so you'll be able to see what I look like in person, which should be exciting. The Evan G. Foundation, evangfoundation.org. You can get information from there, or nofirsttime@gmail.com, or if you want to call John at 781-844-1258. We're back again. You got a very short amount of time. What's coming up?
Yeah, we got for Stoughton High School, we got a presentation for parents and bring the kids also, and it's October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Stoughton Auditorium.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Fundraisers? You want to encourage people to send money?
If they want to look at the website, the evangfoundation.org, and they can just hit donate on that. And,
it's a nonprofit organization.
Nonprofit, yep, 501c3 nonprofit.
The mission, again, is to ensure that no one's kids has any reason to try any drug for the first time. We hope you'll be able to communicate that with your children and seek out the resources if you find that you need help. Meantime, I want to thank John for coming in and talking about this very difficult subject. John Green, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And why do I have a problem? Deputy Chief Brian Holmes. I've known him since he was a kid, almost. Thank you very much for coming in. Your information was excellent. And thanks to Dave, Mike, Gina, and whoever else. Jeff, I forgot about Jeff, for all the help that they had in putting the show together. It's Roy Cohen. See you soon.